Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome again to The Goal of the Wise. I'm Ardian al-Mahdi.
And I'm Hussam al-Mahdi.
And today we're going to start off again to where we left off. Well, actually, we finished up the first door, and now we'll be continuing to the second door of The Goal of the Wise, page number 13. But if you want to read along or if you want to follow along with us, we have the QR code which will be popping up on the screen right now, in which you're able to have a direct link to the Goal of the Wise, or you can go to our website at theahmadireligion.org, and you'll be able to download the Goal of the Wise in whatever language that you would desire, whether it is in English, Spanish, Arabic, Persian, German, and the likes of. Now, okay, then Hussam, let's get right into it.
Yeah.
On the last episode, we talked about, the very last thing that we talked about really was the whole deal with Cain and the children of Cain, and what came about and how Cain came about, and what came about from his deeds. We found that today's civilization mirrors the civilization of Cain, and how the state of Cain in those days is the state of Cain today, or his system is here today. We also discovered and found that even Jesus himself in the New Testament, rather than the Gospels, well, not the Gospels, but rather than the narrations of the Jews, we also find Jesus himself pointing at the Pharisees, calling them sons of Satan, or the children of Satan, and accusing them of wanting to murder him. Yeah. So we see that from Jesus, and we see now the reason, if we kind of put two and two together, we see that if the children of Cain were multiplying and having babies, and they were pretty much inherently evil, then we can imagine why God in Genesis decides now he wants to flood the entire world. It's because these children of the devil exist and roam the earth. Now, let's play the clip to have a good, nice intro for the page 14 of this book on the second chapter.
With this new understanding, and with Imam Ahmad al-Hasan, from him is peace, revealing the origin of Cain, son of Iblis, may God curse him, it becomes clear that the point of the flood was actually to purify the earth from the seed of the cursed Iblis, in addition to it being a punishment for breaking the covenant. Every time a covenant is broken, a punishment comes down upon the earth. Then the Lord makes a new covenant with humanity. The punishment for the breaking of the first covenant, when Adam, peace be upon him, ate from the tree, was the exile of Adam, peace be upon him, from the Garden of Eden. God forgave them. But when the people broke the covenant again with their disbelief and enmity towards Noah and the prophets after Adam, peace be upon him, God punished them with the flood.
So, okay, well, there we have it. We find that the covenant during the time of Noah is broken. The Adamic covenant is finally over, and this causes God to destroy and flood the world. And it actually goes hand in hand with the Bible verse that Abu Sayyid puts in the very beginning of door 2, where he says, "Then God said to Noah and his sons with him, I now establish my covenant with you and with your descendants after you." So there is a renewal of God's deal and God's inheritance with Noah and his family.
No, it's true. It's like there is a renewal of the covenant of God subhanahu wa ta'ala with Noah alayhi salatu wasalam and his family, because he was the only prophet sallallahu alayhi wa to be the hujjah, or the proof of God on earth. He was the highest knowledgeable person. He was the one who's mentioned in the will by the prophet before, by Adam alayhi salatu wasalam, as we mentioned in other episodes as well, that Noah alayhi salatu wasalam was mentioned and prophesied by Adam alayhi salatu wasalam in the will that they used to open every year, and used to celebrate on that Eid. It becomes a Eid, which means they celebrate a day of celebration. For them, it's a holy day that they open and read the names of the prophets and successors until the riser of the family of Adam alayhi salatu wasalam at that time, who was Noah alayhi salatu wasalam. So of course there was a need after the destruction of the Canaanites, like you can say, population by God through the flood, that we need to establish new rules, new system on the ground, because now there is a fresh start for humanity. So I think that's that's one of the important things to notice as well, is that like when you have right now, Noah alayhi salatu wasalam gets on that ark and he's saved, and now he lands in an earth that is completely free, ready to be harvested, ready to be ready for the animals to flourish in it, ready for them to actually go and be fruitful and multiply. They needed new rules.
Yeah, for
Before
sure.
the earth was flooded, you would imagine there were fruits everywhere. You would imagine there were animals everywhere. There were all kinds of sustenances that existed. All kind of sustenance existed. Now, God changes a bit of these rules. He adds to it. Like, say, for example, the fact of eating meat or eating, like what can you eat and what can you not eat?
Yes.
What is halal, what is haram? That has to change over time. So with Noah alayhi salatu wasalam, that's what happened.
Yes, exactly. And before we get into the covenant of Noah and what the agreement between God and him is, we should bring up the elephant in the room, which is, I think the audience probably, I'm assuming, because this was something that a lot of people found shocking, is that, wow, there really are like sons of Satan in the world. I mean, how is that possible? And I'm pretty sure even Muslim viewers find that unattractive. How can it be that Eve and Satan found a way to have intercourse, and for Satan's seed to now roam the earth? How is that possible? How can a just God take Satan and allow him to have his way with a woman who in Islam is seen as a great figure?
Muslim,
Yeah, exactly. But we see from the hadiths of the Ahlul Bayt that there is an agreement between God and the devil that he would be able to procure children and be able to affect even the children of Adam, or supposedly Adam.
He will share. In the Quran it says, وَشَارِكْهُمْ بِالْأَوْلَادِ, and share with them with the children.
Yeah, exactly.
Share with Adam.
Exactly, as we mentioned before.
How is that going to happen? It's like, it doesn't make sense. Aslan, you have, to begin with, you have Jesus Christ, from whom is peace, saying that when he comes back, he will sift the people and he will put the goats on one side and the sheep on the other side.
What does that mean?
What does that mean? Why are they called goats? Because a goat is what exactly? It's a follower of Satan, right? Goat, God of all things, right?
Yeah.
That's the synonym for it. It's like GOAT, which is the God of all things, which is a synonym for Satan. Satanism, they have that. That's where their symbol is, right? Their symbol is a goat's head, right?
Yeah, because for them, Satan is their God.
Exactly.
But so nonetheless, and obviously Satan would be their God because Satan is their father.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And
so
the father in a family relationship, a father is your God.
Exactly.
Because it's a lordship, godhood. These are titles we will discuss in the book of, it's discussed by Ahmad al-Hasan alayhi salatu wasalam, expressed by him alayhi salatu wasalam in the book of monotheism, which you can also download for free on our website.
Exactly. Anyway, let's play the next clip so we could demonstrate this amazing narration.
Imam as-Sadiq, from him is peace, in one narration states, the first one who compared and was prideful was Iblis, and pride is the first act of disobedience to God. He said, Iblis said, O God, pardon me from prostrating to Adam, and I shall worship you like no other close angel nor prophet messenger has. God said, I do not need your worship, but rather I want to be worshipped from where I want, and not from where you want. But he still refused to prostrate. So God said, Get out of it, you are impure, and verily upon you is my curse until the day of judgment. So Iblis said, O God, how is it that you are the just, who is never unjust, and now you made the reward for my good deeds go in vain? So he said, No, but ask me for anything you want in the world as a reward, and I shall grant you. And the first thing which he asked for was to remain until the day of judgment. And God said, I have granted you that. He said, let me have power over the children of Adam. And God said, I have given you power. And he said, let me run in them like the blood runs in their veins. And God said, I have made you run in their veins. And he said, do not allow a single child to be born to them except that 2 are born from me.
So that is pretty intense, where there's a deal between God and the devil. The devil worked so hard and so long that he was able to procure that kind of deal.
Yeah.
So he doesn't disbelieve in God. He knows that God is capable. He knows God is able to grant him respite. So he gets his respite. You know, there's no punishment upon him. There's no karma set on him until the day of judgment. He's able to run and have power over the children of Adam. And interestingly enough, he says clearly, and God gives him that, do not let a single child be born to them except that 2 are born from me.
Yeah.
So that's interesting.
But
now
how?
But how? Obviously, how is Satan going to procure children? And God said, and the Quran states what? That, you know, share with them in wealth and in children. That obviously means that Satan takes a human being who is a woman, is able to insert his seed upon her and procure children.
Exactly.
Obviously, we spoke about in the last episode that this is Cain. So Cain now goes off multiplying, and he multiplies at a faster rate than Adam does.
Because he killed his first son too.
Exactly, he killed his first son.
There's already an advantage for the lineage of Cain.
Yeah.
And for how many years would it take for a child to grow up to be actually able to have kids as well? Like
exactly.
For Seth alayhi salam, who's
it would
the
take
son
a
of
while.
Adam, it would have taken a while, which means that Cain would have been able to create multiple kids. In fact, his kids would be at the age of Seth. You understand?
And what's funny enough is that the old text would state, you know, Jewish text would state that it wouldn't be until maybe 7 generations of Cain's kids, and Cain was still alive because they were able to live for a long period of time. But 7 generation of like Cain's lineage is able to continue, while Adam and Eve during those times were still mourning over the death of Abel.
Now look at that.
So we're looking at a multitude of children from Cain, from Satan. And that seems to be like one of the things that God says about Adam in the Quran, right? It's like, you know, we gave him a covenant, but we found within him no real determination or no firm willpower. And we see that that's pretty much the case. It's like God tells him, don't eat from the forbidden tree, he eats it. Be fruitful and multiply, but instead of being fruitful and multiplying, he is grieving. He delays it, he is grieving. The only son that he procures after that, according to records, is Seth.
Yeah, which is later.
Exactly. Later. So like now we can understand why the Bible states now, because it's very clear in the Bible that it states that the children of man upon the earth are corrupt. They are murdering, they are doing all sorts of horrific acts. And God even states in Genesis, he says that he even regrets having mankind. That's what it states in the Bible.
And one more contemplation about this hadith which is mentioned in Bihar al-Anwar. The idea is that with this hadith is that he's saying very clearly that allow me to run in them like blood runs in their veins. Well, he didn't say, for example, allow me to run in them as their spirit runs in their vein, or as in their bodies, or as their souls resonates inside of their bodies or vessels. He said very clearly in very detail, he mentioned blood and how blood runs in our vein. This is physical. This is like a physical thing. You know,
and the only way to do that is if there's a mixing that takes place.
He would create something with the mixture. You know?
Exactly.
That his genetic code would be a part of the genetic code of the Adamites.
Yeah. So I mean, it's very clear here. If the people just took these narrations and just contemplated over it, you can really find from your own intellect, from your own understanding, that this has to be the case. What Abu Sadiq had described concerning the children of Cain, concerning the sons of Adam, is it's not something that he made up, it's something in the books. But nobody was able to piece it together except for the Qa'im of the family Muhammad. But now I suppose the next question would be, is that, you know, okay, if all of these children of Cain existed in the world, then why is it that Noah, who God says, okay, I'm going to flood the world, why is it that it took God 950 years while Noah is giving dawah, while Noah is calling the people, although they're Canaanites, why did it take so long for the punishment to come?
Yeah, that would be something to consider, right? Like, why did God wait that long? Noah alayhi salatu wasalam was being oppressed by his people to the point where some of the narrations mention how he was being beaten, how he was being to the point where he would fall. They would hit him and he would fall on the floor and he would lay down for 3 days in order for him to get up.
And he would be bleeding from his ears.
He would be bleeding from his ears. We also find them like mocking. In the Quran, for example, it says that they walk by him mocking and laughing at them and at him, at the believers.
And they even said that they would put their fingers in their ears and throw their garments over their heads so they don't hear what he's saying.
Exactly.
So then how can you talk to these people?
How can you? So there is obviously 900 years is not something tiny, for a very short period of time, we in the Ahmadi religion of peace and light gathered quite a lot of believers, from around the world, from all over the world, in fact, even from China, even from America, even from the UK, even from Iraq and Syria and Lebanon, and you go to the European, from Germany, we have France, we have all kinds of countries around the world. There are people who are coming to us. So why is the case that when God sends a prophet like Noah alayhi salatu wasalam for 900 years and they still, he still doesn't punish them or does anything to them? He just leaves them to be like that. So there is a secret behind it. There is definitely something behind it. We will get into it right now. So
yeah, let's go over the next clip and see what the Ahlul Bayt from them is peace have to say concerning the delay that happened in the time of Noah.
In those days, Noah was married to a woman from the daughters of Cain, whose name was Norea, which means fire. She was unfaithful to Noah and betrayed him. After the first time that the ark was built, Norea attempted to board the ark, but because of her unrighteousness, Noah did not allow her to, and so Norea set the ark on fire and burnt it down. This was the reason why the promise of Allah was delayed, and the punishment was delayed.
So, yeah, that's actually extremely interesting. We see that the reason for that is because Noah had a wife. This wife burnt down the ark.
She was a Canaanite.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And a delay happened. And do you know what's really funny? The Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, because, the narrator for this is Abu Sadiq, the author of this book, mentions that this is a cause. And he narrates a narration in the book by Imam al-Sadiq. It's a very long narration, but we're going to paraphrase it, where it states here that basically Noah was calling his people, right? And he asks God himself to bring down the punishment. So it's not God now asking, saying to Noah, like, hey, I'm going to flood these people, like, build the ark. It's Noah who is requesting that a punishment take place.
Yes.
So now we have to remove the blame on God and remove the blame of why is there a delay? Now it's like, Noah is the one asking, actually.
Yeah.
And
God is patient.
Yeah,
and
God is patient.
Even if one person was to believe, that would be enough for God, because He's not interested in numbers. He's interested in actual quality, right? When we read in the Quran in the earlier section, basically that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is granting Satan the ability to go in the land and share in the children of Adam and do all this kind of stuff. And in the Quran, it's very clear. He says to him, and I will come. The Satan is talking to God, and he's saying, I will show everybody that they are so ungrateful. Humans are ungrateful to you, God. Why would they be the kings? Look, I'll prove it to you. Except your sincere servants. He says, I will fill hellfire with you and all of those who follow you, Satan. All of those who follow you and believe in your whispers, and they follow you and they disbelieve in me, except for those righteous people, or except for those sincere believers, because sincerity is our guide, it's our safety, it's our key, it's the key to unlock guidance, you can say. Be sincere and we will be able to find the truth.
Yeah, and the thing is that the people of Noah, they were tested with sincerity, because in that narration, it's described that God tells Noah, he says, okay, hey, take this seed, right? Which is a palm seed. Plant it in the ground. When it becomes a full tree and you're able to eat from it, okay, the punishment will happen.
Yes.
when Noah does it, and his followers, they freak out. They're like, hey, where's the punishment?
Yeah.
Noah goes back to God, and God tells him the same thing. Do the process again, right? When they heard that he had to redo the process, and my God, I mean, how long does it take for a date palm tree to grow?
Yeah.
I actually looked it up, and it takes a long time.
Yeah.
It can take decades even for a palm tree
20 years easy.
Yeah, 20 years easy.
So like 20 years of that, and then why was the delay to begin with?
Yeah, no, but that's the thing, right? The delay happened, right? But like before we get into the delay, I just want to like finish up the story, right?
Go ahead.
The people, they broke up into three groups, right? You had the believers, you had the hypocrites, and then you had those who like completely disbelieved. So believers, hypocrites, and those who disbelieved. Believers, they stayed firm. The hypocrites, they doubted, but like they still stuck with Noah, but they were kind of suspicious now. And the disbelievers are like, okay, if he was a prophet from God, no way no way could it, this is a lame excuse now, they're thinking to themselves. Like, no way can he be a prophet from God if he has to like redo this process. We think he's playing games with us, basically. And what's strange is he does the process 10 times. So imagine that, 10 times, and maybe 10 times 20, so like... Right. 10 times, so like about 200 years,
10
right?
10 times 20, yes.
Yeah, 10 times 20.
Imagine it, yeah.
So imagine that, 200 years of waiting. These people are obviously fed up, losing their patience, and each
200
time...
years of hard labor.
Exactly, and each time they're being broken up into three groups. Up until the point where, the faithful believer who remained with him, they said, Noah, whether the promise is fulfilled or not, you're from God, you're a prophet from God. And then at that moment, when everyone else was sifted away,
all the hypocrites and the weak faith people who fell in the testing,
then the punishment came upon the people. But now, considering that, right, considering this narration and considering what Abu Sadiq says, he's pointing the blame for the delay not just on the fact that God is like delaying the matter, but the reason why the delay was taking place was because Norea was actually burning down the ark each time that it was being constructed, each time that she wasn't allowed to go on the ark. And let's go over the text from the Nag Hammadi to prove this case.
Then Norea came to him, wanting to board the ark. When he would not let her, she blew upon the ark and caused it to be consumed by fire. Again he made the ark, for a second time.
So that's a small segment from the Nag Hammadi, that small part. So we see here that it's very clear.
Yeah.
It's
so the reason for why the delay, obviously according to the narration that was just recited, is that Norea, the wife, the Canaanite wife of Noah alayhi salatu wasalam, would go and burn the ark that they just finished building. There's a reason behind that, of course.
Of course, obviously.
But that's why there were delays of 10 times. And that's what people didn't know. She would do it in secret. She would go behind their backs when everybody's sleeping. Say, imagine, right? Imagine with me, is that everybody goes to sleep. They hard labored the whole morning. They're just working on the ship. They're laboring, right? So they go to sleep and suddenly they wake up in the middle of the night or in the morning, they find the ark is burning. And they're seeing it burning. They try to turn it off. They turn it off. They save whatever they can, and they start rebuilding again.
Exactly. So like we find, and one of the scholars of Christianity, Epiphanius, right? He actually mentions that, in further detail the story about Norea, and says that according to what the Gnostics say, she burned down the ark another 3 times. So now we have not only did Noah rebuild the ark a second time, but according to Epiphanius, he had to rebuild it multiple times, 3 more additional times according to him. But Abu Sadiq said, actually it was 10 times. And let's play the clip to see what the Gold Wise has to say concerning that.
The truth is that she burnt down the ark 10 times. And in all times, she did so in secret. In all 10 times, the companions were shocked and doubt entered into them, as they wondered why God would allow the ark to be burnt down if Noah was really a prophet. Because of the burning of the ark, the promise was 10 times delayed, and God used these events as a test, an opportunity to rid Noah's believing community of any doubters. Noah had mercy on Norea, and she was eventually let on the ark.
So, okay, we can see a few points here. We see that, first of all, most of Noah's companions who helped them, they were apostating, they were leaving him. So, for him to rebuild the ark again with the lack of manpower is, it doesn't really make sense.
It doesn't make any sense anymore.
And by the way, the only people that remained with him, as mentioned in the Goal of the Wise, and Abu Salih connects the dots, right, were only 8 people, himself included.
Yeah.
So it was 8 people, 8 individuals, himself, his wife, 3 of his sons, and 3 of his
the wives of his kids.
Exactly. So the 3 of the wives of his kids embarked on the ark with them. So really the only manpower that they had was only 4 people. And the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, they even said that none believed except for a few. Then this is what the Quran says about Noah. None believed in him except for a few.
Yeah.
The Ahlul Bayt, they said about this that those few were only 8 individuals. So if we take that into consideration now, we can understand why Noah now allows Norea to go and embark on the ark. Because there's nobody else.
Exactly. And what would make
she would have
Norea,
kept on burning it.
Exactly. And what would make the wife of Noah alayhi salatu wasalam do such an act? Like, this is also a question that needs an answer. Nabi Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam answers this in the Goal of the Wise, and he says that Norea used to cheat on Noah.
Yes.
And this is, by the way, factual evidence in the Quran as well, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala وضرب لهم مثلا امرأتي نوح ولوط, which is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given an example. I'll just translate in English right away. Like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given an example of the 2 wives of Lot and Noah and Lot, and how they cheated upon them. He cheated on them. Right? So the idea is the scholars, most of the time, they don't understand, they don't know how to interpret this one. They don't know how to interpret this one. They say that they cheated in faith, so...
Yeah, like they doubted their husband's religion.
Which means they became munafiqs. If they doubted and they stayed with him, that means munafiq, nifaq, but that's not cheating. So it's like nifaq is not cheating in a way, right?
Yeah,
there is a title for that action, right?
Yeah.
This behavior is titled as betrayal, or it's titled basically as hypocrisy, if that's what happened, if that's how they explain it.
Yeah, for sure.
Betrayal is something else.
Yeah.
Betrayal is somebody stabbing you in the back. That's what betrayal is. So betrayal is I leave you when you need me the most. Betrayal is I give you an oath and I break that oath. Betrayal is this is betrayal. So the idea is that in this case, Abu Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam, he is the one who has the right to actually interpret these things based on his claim that he is a Mahdi, he is a guide, he is the one who's sent by God. He is the one whose name is mentioned in the will of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And he has the evidence, and we can talk about that. So, but as for this specifically, why she actually wanted to burn this thing is because she thought to herself that Noah had an idea. He knew that she was cheating on him with one of the great, at that time, scholars who is called Jabal.
Yes.
So the idea, his name was Jabal, and that's what in the Quran is mentioned, and we'll get to that in a little bit later on. So then what happens is that she's afraid that Noah has caught on to her. He's caught her. He's doubting her now. He's now knows that she's going around cheating on him physically. So then, what does she do? She's like, I want to get on the ark.
Yeah.
And he says, no.
And what does she do? Because she's going through the moods and the emotions. Because Noah's not accepting her on the ark, she has this idea, okay, well, he knows.
Yeah.
Well, if I cannot go on the ark, then no one can. So then she burns on the ark.
Mercy. She actually, by doing so, she knew that he was going to be right. She knew that there is a flood coming.
Yeah.
Because she believed that in the prophecy that he has.
Exactly.
The only difference is that now she was looking at everybody she was doing stuff with, and everybody around, and everybody, all of the humanity at that time, and she felt remorse for them.
Yeah, she felt
pity, mercy. She had more mercy towards them than Adam had in his heart towards them. Adam is than Noah alayhi salatu wasalam had in his heart for them. Because why? And the proof for that is that in fact she kept burning the ark, delaying this for years, and at the same time, Noah is asking for the punishment to come down.
Yeah, so like that's actually one of the redeeming traits, if you could say that, of Norea, is that at least, even though she was a bad woman and she was a promiscuous woman, the one thing that she did have, at least for her own people, was pity for, because they were going to be of them being destroyed. She believed, as you said, I mean, she wouldn't have felt pity, she wouldn't have burned down the ark, and she wouldn't have wanted to enter into the ark unless she was a believer in the prophecies that Noah came with. But and what's funny is that Abu Salik says, he says Norea was unhappy about it. She wanted that the destruction didn't come upon her people. And at the same time, Satan was extremely happy, which is kind of weird. You would think that Noah's
his children are going to be annihilated. Why would he be happy? Right?
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't make sense. I mean, like, that's a sadistic father if one existed like that.
And we proved that the Canaanites' blood is like that. Yeah, like
extremely sadistic.
Is very sadistic.
Yeah, extremely sadistic. And there's actually a hadith that actually goes into detail how badly Noah messed up, and in the sense of like making Satan very happy. We'll play the narration now.
From Ali ibn Muhammad. From him is peace. He said, when Satan came to Noah, he said to him, "You have done me a great favor. So ask me for advice. I will not betray you." So Noah was pained by his words and his request. So God inspired to Noah, "Speak to him and ask him. I will make him mention a certain matter that is a proof upon you." So Noah, peace be upon him, said to Satan, "Speak." Satan said, "If we find the son of Adam stingy or envious or oppressive or hasty, we catch him as one catches a ball. So if these traits are gathered in him, we call him Shaitan. That is, devil." Then Noah said, "What is this great favor that you have described?" He said, "That you have called upon God to destroy the people of the earth. So in 1 hour, you have brought them all to hellfire. So I became free. If it was not for your prayer, to bring down the punishment upon them, it would have taken me a lifetime to achieve this."
Yeah, so we see here clearly that Satan was so grateful. He was actually so happy that his children were dead, because that was the whole purpose. He wanted to prove that humanity is no good, that he's better than the human being, and that these guys are. And he's trying to fill up hellfire. He's trying to take as many people to hell as he can. And Noah allowed that this process hasten. So Satan here doesn't have to do any works now. He can sit back, relax as the punishment is coming. And his children are all being led to hellfire one by one, while he's just sitting back and watching the destruction take place.
And keep in mind that when Satan had animosity against Adam, he was seeing his physical form. And he would enter into his physical form, and he would see that it's empty, right? So there is much depth to the story, that we have to keep in mind as well. It's not just for meets the eye. It's not like just happy that his own children are going to hellfire or something of that kind. He actually believes he's doing the right thing. He thinks that he's right in doing so. He's proving his point that humanity, the human being, is an ungrateful being. Yep. It's an ungrateful, desires lusts, desires pride, desires, like the 7 deadly sins, all of them. Gluttony, they're gluttonous, they are you can name it, it's there. He's proved it. He's shown them. They're oppressive, they're murderous, they're a really terrible kind of, they really desire bad stuff to happen and to do. Because what we know is that the difference between the son of Cain and the son of Adam is that the son of Adam boils in happiness when he does good things. Right? Yes. But the son of Satan, or the son of Cain, when he does bad things, he feels the same kind of happiness.
Exactly, and that's actually interesting. Why in the narration it says that when. He says, when we catch the son of Adam, like how we catch a ball, we call him a what?
Yeah.
A shaitan.
A shaitan.
A
Exactly.
demon. So like these are actually demons. Like,
Demons.
these people that he captures and makes into his children or from his offspring, basically.
Exactly.
He says it for what they are. They are demons.
Yes, exactly.
Demons are the ones who are happy when they inflict pain,
Exactly.
when they inflict suffering. To see someone happy, they feel disgust. They're like, oh man, what can I do to like make his life bad?
Exactly. And this is provable through all the crime scenes that we know about and has been recorded, and you can watch them on the YouTubes, and you can watch them on the Netflixes, and you can watch them on the
news,
on the news agency and the news. You can go to ask for reports of psychopaths. You can go ask for reports. Also, you don't need
exist.
Who needs to know? Who needs to go research? We all know who they are. You live inside of a country ruled by Canaanites in a way. Like, just look at your own government, look at your own scholars, and you will know for a fact you are looking at these people who enjoy evil because they have the ability to stop it, and they don't do it. So they enjoy it. If you have the ability to stop suffering and you don't stop it, you don't at least call towards stopping it, then you're not making, for example, riots and revolutions, and even if it's not riots and revolutions, minimum you have to go out in a protest against that. Then you know you're an initiator of this kind of, you're allowing this evil to continue. Therefore, we doubt, maybe the Canaanites' blood has become victorious in someone like that.
Yeah, and in a way, it's kind of like a fine line, right, between like what it means to be a Canaanite and what it means to be a human being, right? It's like at the end of the day, we look the same.
Yeah.
We have the same skin, there's maybe even the same skin color, same bodily features. We all have families. However, even though the destruction took place, God was actually pretty upset with Noah. He was pretty upset because actually he didn't really want the punishment. Right. I guess maybe, perhaps that could have been the case where God actually saw that there must have been some hope. There must have been some redeeming things that, because otherwise, why would the covenant be broken?
Right.
But, the ones who broke the covenant were the Canaanites themselves.
Yeah, for sure.
So it seems like God actually wanted to delay it. And like even Ahmad al-Hassan himself said, he said that if he was in the place of Noah, he would have never called down the punishment. He would have waited and waited and waited until and I think he said this, right? He said, until even patience gets tired of my patience.
And he says, if I have to wait for 1,000 years, I would wait for 1,000 years. If that's how long it takes for people to turn.
Exactly.
Because what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants, He says, وَنُذِيقُهُم مِّنَ الْعَذَابِ الْأَدْنَى دُونَ الْعَذَابِ الْأَكْبَرِ لَعَلَّهُمْ يَرْجِعُونَ صدق الله العظيم. He says that we let them taste of the minor punishment rather than the greater punishment. Hopefully they will return.
Exactly.
With the hope that they would return. So God is placing a hujjah on the people. He's saying, look, you want rulers to be appointed on you that are not appointed by God? Sure. Have them. I will give them to you. I will give you tyrants like Saddam Hussein. I'll give you tyrants like Hitler. I'll give you tyrants that are fighting over the throne in Sudan and in different parts of the world in Africa and different parts of the world around the world. So the idea is that if you want that, God has given it already to you. Humanity has been going through thousands of years of the ruling of the tyrant. Name them what you want. They all dress different codes. They dress in a different coat sometimes. Sometimes it's socialism. Sometimes fascism. Sometimes it's this. Sometimes it's democracy. Sometimes it's tyranny. You name it, it's there. The tyrant takes the form of everybody.
Yep.
Now, it's up to you to decide to return to God, because He's offering the solution. At that time, the solution was Noah.
Yeah.
The solution to their suffering was Noah. They didn't recognize it for 900 years. Maybe in 1,000 years, something would happen and they would notice. You don't know. So to ask for Noah to have asked from God a punishment on these people, it was not a good thing.
Yeah, for sure not. And we actually have an amazing narration that actually we can go into and play right now.
When Noah lost hope in guiding the polytheistic, misguided people, he went forth, building the ark by the command of God Almighty. And when everything was ready, Noah complained to God about his polytheistic people and prayed to God to destroy them all together. And because the proof had been placed upon them, God sent a torment upon them. and rain kept pouring down, and the complete flood occurred, and came upon all the disobedient ones, and destroyed them. And after the disbelievers were destroyed, the rain stopped. The floodwater receded, and the Ark of Noah settled and reached its final stop. The believers in Noah were saved and disembarked from the Ark, and engaged in their various work and life affairs. Noah's profession was making ceramic pots. He would prepare them and sell them to the people, and provide from its price his daily needs. One day an angel came to him in human form, and bought from him a number of pottery pots, and began to smash them. And Noah looked at him, and whenever he would smash a pot, Noah would be grieved and in pain without uttering a word. Finally, Noah could not bear to see the smashing of the pots he had just made and sold. He shouted fiercely at that man, the angel. "What are you doing, O man? Why did you break the pots that I made with my own hands?" The man, the angel, replied, "I bought them from you, and they became my property, and you no longer have anything to do with them, and I can dispose of them however I want." Noah, peace be upon him, said, "It is true that you bought them from me, but I worked hard and tired myself until I made them, and I continued to love them even after you bought them from me, and I do not accept that you spoil the fruits of my labor and the results of my efforts." The man, the angel, replied, "You did not create the pots, you only made them, but you still cannot bear the sight of them being shattered. How did you then call upon God to destroy all of his creatures altogether?" As a result of this incident, Noah started crying and wailing so hard that people called him Noah, that is the weeping one.
All right, well, there we have it. We see that God, although he created, right, and although the Canaanites are a bad creation, it was still God's creation that he wanted to take care of and that he wanted Noah to be patient over. And Noah is known as a prophet of great patience. I mean, think about it. 900 years being constantly calling upon the people.
Who of us could last that long?
Of course not. So, no one should actually even blame Noah, because, for sure, if anybody was in the situation, they would also be able to not handle it. They would have for sure called down the punishment, maybe even sooner than Noah, because Noah was patient, as you recalled earlier, where there are narrations that exist that says, the people would mock him severely, they would make fun of him,
they would beat him,
they would make him fall unconscious to the floor, hit him over the head, make him fall unconscious to the floor, and he would be there for days while his ears are bleeding. I mean, the guy is on the constant brink of death by his own people while calling upon them. I mean, that takes a lot of patience, but we can see just how patient God wanted Noah to even be, even further than that, even better than that.
He taught us, and we learned from this story the greater mercy of God.
Exactly.
We wouldn't have known. Imagine if we didn't know the story and we didn't contemplate it. We would not know the mercy of God in this level.
Yeah, exactly. And the Imams that came after Noah, the people that came after Noah in terms of the Imams of the Ahlul Bayt, they were better than Noah. And as we said earlier, Ahmad al-Hassan would have waited for 1,000 years, and even after 1,000 years would still not call upon God to bring down the punishment. And now, think about this, guys. Your leaders and your pastors and your Imams in the masjid, can they have that kind of patience that Noah had? Could they be those people that would care about the human beings in order to guide them? And if the answer is no, and that they are violent, and that there are people who are impatient and just only want destruction for mankind, like many of the extremist groups do, whether they are Christian, Muslim, or even Jewish, like what's happening now in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, think to yourself, where is God? Where can I find a man with a description like Noah, or even greater than Noah, that has that kind of patience and is willing to save mankind? And you'll only find that the person who's willing to do that is the author of this book, Abdullah Hashim Abu Sadiq. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching. Stay tuned to the next episode where we will go over the laws of the covenant of Noah. And Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.